Enjoying Life Over the Road, a community that champions adventure, innovation, and well-being.
Welcome to Enjoying Life OTR. My name is Cindy Tunstall and I'm your host. Today my guest is Sherril Hustler. She has a fantastic story to share with us and I can't wait for you to hear it. She actually tipped her truck and trailer and nobody was hurt, but she learned a lot from that experience and she shared exactly what that was like and so many takeaways. So I know you're going to enjoy hearing that experience. She also is really honest and vulnerable, sharing about a past with drug addiction and how her lifestyle of trucking has really changed all that for her. She's just living a great life out there and so many incredible experiences to share. So I can't wait for you to meet her. She's passionate about this industry and loves the work, and I know you're going to love this story. It's truly inspiring. Welcome to the show, Sherril.
Thank you, Cindy. Glad to be here.
Well, Sherril, do this. In the beginning, I always like everybody, tell us a little bit about your career, how long you've been in the industry, and what kind of freight you run, and tell us a little bit about your truck. Give us a little background so everybody knows who we're talking to.
Way back in 1993, when I was at a crossroads in my insurance career, I'd already been in the insurance industry for 20 years at that point in time, I said to my dad, I said, I think I'd like to be a long-haul truck driver. My wife's father says to me, "Oh, hon, I don't think that's such a good idea." And at the time, I think he was probably right. My daughters were 11 and 13 at that point in time, and Mom being on the road the majority of the time probably wouldn't have been conducive, for a positive lifestyle for my daughters. So I kind of put that dream on the back burner, and I carried on in the insurance industry for another 20 years. And it occurred to me, and it was about 2014, that unless I made a change in my life, I was going to be leading a very hand-to-mouth existence financially. I was the only insurance agent for 20 miles. I had an antique store, extensive jewelry counter, my pawnbroker's license. I did jewelry repair. There was a lot of diversification going on in order to just make ends meet, as was required. As luck would have it, I ended up doing a 3-week tour around the United States. I traveled from Seattle to New York City, to Washington, D.C., down to New Orleans, to Vegas, Las Vegas, and then to home. That was 7,500 miles. And all the time while I was on the road, I was handling family business with my dogs in the car with me. The closer I got to home, and I have a lovely home in Northwest Washington, the closer I got to home, the slower I drove. I knew at that point in time that I should cash everything in and go to truck driving school, and that's exactly what I did. I went to truck driving school in 2015. I had wonderful instructors. The grin on my face, even now, 8 years later, the grin on my face is constant. It's just been a delightful experience. It's just a great life. I love it.
Yeah, it is. Back when you first started thinking about becoming a long-haul trucker, what made you think that was a good option even? What planted that idea in your head? It's so random.
Large trucks fascinated me, and I love the sound of a good Jake brake as the truck, just can't get that out of my system. Love the sound of the deceleration of a trucker as they were coming in off of the freeway, just slowing down, just going through the gears and the wonderful sound that the truck made. I also enjoyed the sound of a diesel truck as they accelerated.
Yes.
It just sounded so powerful.
Yes.
Like, baby, that's where it's at. And
I love it so much.
I loved to drive. Before I got my commercial driver's license, I would just go for a 300-mile drive, and that was relaxation for me. So being out here on the road, I figured, and besides that, I love to shift gears.
So great.
I love to shift gears. Yeah. But anyway, my love of driving, shifting gears, fascination with big rigs, that's what held that dream alive.
So great.
I was so excited to get on the road after I got my commercial driver's license. I went with a company that would hire me and take in my 4 dogs. And I remember I thought, oh my gosh, and they called me, wanted to know, Sheryl, is it important that you have a woman trainer? I was like, no, let's just get this dog and pony show on the road. No, I want the first mentor available. So anyway, shortly after that, my phone rings. Sheryl, come on down to the office. We've got your trainer scheduled. I'm like, oh, all right. This is great. This is exciting. Dad, I'm doing it. I talked to my folks. They both since passed, but I talked to them like they're, still right with me. Anyway, so now I'm thinking, oh my goodness, what if I end up with a trainer that is, that's got a trashy truck that smells, and I'm like, just keep a smile on your face, Sheryl, and, make the best of it. The door opened up, and here was this guy that walked in. He had an oversized T-shirt on. He looked like he was about 5'4", tall, and about 5'4" wide, and with a long ponytail. And I just thought, oh no! But I'm keeping a smile on my face. I got that smile is on my face, and I just, okay, all right, I'm gonna make the best of this regardless of how it goes down. Anyway, as it turned out, that was my roommate's trainer. Oh, hallelujah. A couple minutes later, the door opened up, then the sun was behind him, so there was this sort of shining aura that came out, as the sun was coming towards me. It was a tall man, nicely dressed, one of the best truck drivers I have ever met to date. And I was the first woman that he had ever taken on board as a student. And I guess they figured that we would be we were the same median age, and I guess they felt that we would work well together. And we did. We're still very close friends to this day. But anyway, I got into his truck, and I was just so excited. Oh, take your shoes off, very, very tidy. We don't, now I understand why we take our shoes off in the truck. But anyway, I was just, Dad, I'm here, I made it, I'm on the truck, oh my gosh, let me, and I'm trying not to bounce off the walls around this guy because he's obviously very low key. And then I start looking around and I'm like, oh, there is a lot of room on the floor up here. Oh my gosh, it's an automatic. Oh my goodness, I was like, an automatic? Oh, yuck. But as it turned out, that was really a blessing in disguise because I had trained on a flatbed. And so I was used to seeing open space behind me. And now I'm down in the Los Angeles area, out of Fontana, California. It's like trucking mecca down there. And now I've got this great big huge dry van, 53-foot dry van behind me, and I can't see a darn thing. So it was really, it was good having to deal with the traffic on the I-10 and all I-15 down there in the Los Angeles area. It was quite a blessing not to have to be responsible for shifting. I could just, I call it gas and go, even though trucks don't run on gas, of course, but that's what I kind of think of when I think of automatic trucks, gas and go. And but anyway, yeah, an automatic. Started out in a darn automatic. But that was the only automatic I've ever driven in my career. The rest have all been the sticks, which I thoroughly enjoy shifting the gears. Even with the 18 speed, I'd get up into the 18th gear and I'd be grabbing for more gears.
So great.
Sheryl, how long have you been doing this? Well, today or overall? I mean, you've only got 18. You have to stop now. So anyway, yeah, that was my first. I had a wonderful trainer and the automatic, so everything has worked out quite well.
Well, tell me about your truck. I understand that your truck is a little bit unusual, a conversation starter from what I understand. Tell us about your truck.
I started out with just an average, ordinary truck. In fact, I borrowed money to buy my first truck. back in 2016. I bought my first truck 10 months after I had my commercial driver's license, a little bit ahead of what I thought I would be doing, but things fell into place. That was just, it was a Peterbilt 387, just a ho-hum, standard, nothing special truck. I went from, that was an '08, and I tricked her out pretty well with LED lights and chrome, and I replaced that truck with a better truck with an '03 387, and that truck I bought from the original owner. It had a cat engine in it, an 18-speed dual exhaust, sat on new frame rails, and that truck was, I made money hand over fist with that truck. I attribute that to the fact of its simplicity engine-wise, with it being a straight engine to exhaust. And unfortunately, I had a mishap last year where my load shifted and drug us to the ground. Single-handedly the worst day of my life on the road, and I lost both tractor and trailer in that adventure. But following that, I, again, was looking to replace the truck with something that was a straight engine to exhaust, and I happened along onto the truck that I have now. All of my trucks have been named Stella. It was original Stella, now, and then it was Stella Nueva, and now this one is Stella XL. She's what they are referred to as a big bunk sleeper. I've got a 110-inch sleeper that sits behind the cab nose of a 1999 Kenworth T600. Whoever had her before I bought her really went to town with grill decorations, just lovely, lovely chrome accents, and of course, finally, the great big stacks that I've been waiting for, so that I sound like those truckers that I've admired and envied for all these years.
Oh, I love it. Sounds so great.
And it's pretty obvious that this is a female-owned company. My company name is Stella Rose Van Lines, and now I have Stella XL. I get a lot of compliments on her. Although she's a 99, you would know it by looking at her. She's really, body of the truck is in just wonderful, wonderful shape. She looks much newer than she actually is.
Well, Sheryl, I want to hear about the accident that happened to you last year where you totaled your truck. Could you tell us a little bit about that? I mean, it sounds awful, but do you mind sharing that story?
Oh, no, not a bit. No, not a bit. I say here in the world of trucking, you don't know what you don't know. This was something that I was naive enough to believe a shipper, and it ended up, I should have used my own good judgment, but I didn't. I picked up a load of palletized, extruded coiled aluminum. And so each one of these pallets was about 4 feet tall. The aluminum that sat on each one of these pallets weighed 2,500 pounds. So I sat there at the dock over in eastern Washington and got loaded. When I went back and looked in the trailer, I was like, what the heck? What? They had put the 15 pallets of this extruded coiled aluminum straight down the center of the trailer. I'm like, why? What? And furthermore, there was a young man, he was pounding nails into the floor of my trailer, which I really don't take too kindly to. And I was like, whoa, 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 what are you doing? Why is this loaded this way? He says, oh, this is the way we do it all the time. These pallets are too heavy to move.
Yeah.
All right. Well, rather than pound nails into the floor here, at the back of, at the tail end of this, why don't we just put the pressure, can we do the same thing with the strap? Well, yeah, I guess we can. So we put the strap on and rather than having stuff nailed into my floor, and away we went. And I was in no particular hurry. I was on my way to Kalamazoo, Michigan. And there in Iowa, I was taking a broad turn off of from one highway onto another. Posted speed limit was 30 miles an hour, and I was doing under that speed limit because I shifted into a gear that I could only get into at about 25 miles an hour. And I came gently around the corner, around the bend, to get onto this highway. And the next thing I know, I'm watching as my dashboard is now not horizontal.
Oh, wow.
It is, yeah. And it was at that point, I was like, oh my gosh, we're going over.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, and by the grace of God, there were no other cars alongside of me, and bam, I just went over on my side and slid forward about 40 feet, came to a stop.
Oh my goodness.
I'm strapped into my seat, and now I'm looking at people's ankles.
Oh my
and they're
gosh.
The motorists behind me got out of their vehicles and came around to see if I was okay, and I'm just kind of, I can't believe this just happened. This is unimaginable, but it's reality. And I'm laying here on my side looking at these people's ankles, and then the one, they asked me if I'm okay. Yes, I'm okay. That's fine. And then the one gal says, "Oh, there's fuel dripping." I'm like, "Oh, wonderful." And now I'm laying here on my side, and I'm about to go up into a fiery ball of, flames. So I thought, well, I'm going to be able to kick my way out of this truck. But anyway, the EMTs came and cut through the front windshield and got us out. There were no injuries. There was nobody else involved. It was just a just me and the trailer. Boom, on our side. They cut us out. When they cut through the windshield, they're like, "Okay, ma'am, come on out." And I said, "No, I have 4 dogs in here. I do travel with I have a pup crew of 4 small breed dogs that all can fit on the passenger seat." And I said, "No, what's going to happen first is we're going to get the dogs to safety, and then I'll be out." "Ma'am, we have to get, do you want to argue about this? Or, I mean, so many times, accidents happen. The dogs are already at a high level of confusion. The last thing that's going to happen on my watch is me to get out and then have my dogs start following out after me on a busy highway."
Yeah.
So, I guess they finally realized that there was no sense in arguing with the old duck. She was going to have, they're going to have to do it this way. So I handed the pups out one at a time and got them to safety, and out I came, and then watched sadly as the crew came to right the equipment. To have something like that happen is the equivalency of your office going up in smoke and all of your accounting documents and records and everything going up with it. You have to start all over. I mean, you had a beautiful running business, and then because of something outside of your control, it's gone in a second. That taught me that I will never, ever again, if somebody tells me this is the way we do it all the time, it's too heavy to do thus and such, I will follow my instincts, which, even as I looked at that with the extruded aluminum in there, in the single file line, I thought, why in the heck haven't they just put a brace at the nose and done it like 2 pallets, 1 pallet, 2 pallet, and put all of the weight between the wheels. But hey, these guys do it all the time, so, I don't want to make waves. That'll be the last time that I ever not make waves.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's a good reminder for all of us, Sheryl. I mean, even, because, they're making an hourly wage, and they've never driven a truck, and, and so I think that's just a good reminder for all of us. And I'm so grateful that you were not injured, and that, that nobody else was injured. Nope. It's so much to be grateful for.
Most definitely. And I'll tell you something, my truck that tipped over she was so beautiful. I mean, for a run-of-the-mill 387, Peterbilt 387, they really aren't anything super special. But she had just such a wonderful, wonderful two-tone silver and charcoal paint job. And I added ground effect lights under the cab, so she glowed violet.
Nice.
And then I had her hood backlit, and every chrome piece that you could, every bit of chrome that you could buy from any of the shops, online or in person, for just a ho-hum truck. I got so many compliments on her. It was just, I was so sad to.
Yeah. So upsetting.
The truck the replacement truck, I had always been fascinated, what they call the big bunk or the large car. the super sleeper, however you want to. Have you heard somebody call them townhouse?
Yeah.
They're condo. There is a multitude of names for the big bunk sleepers, but I'd always been interested in that. I do a lot of cooking on the truck. Very rarely do I ever, I've never been a fan of truck stops, even before I had the big bunk. I very rarely ever spent the night at a truck stop. I'm usually at a rest stop or at a shipper or receiver, or even at a warehouse complex or a Walmart parking lot. This truck has afforded me the room that I didn't have in my other two trucks to stretch out a little bit with some counter space and a sink. I have a shower and lavatory here. Bed that folds up. It's kind of a Murphy bed, so I actually have seating available. For life on the road, it makes it ever so comfortable.
Well, that sounds great.
I don't have a stove per se. I have one of the 3-in-1 cookers. You know, it's a convection oven, air fryer, and microwave oven combination that we get at our large big box stores that most of the truckers frequent. I don't really want to mention any names, but anyway. That, just trying to be diplomatic here. I have that on board. I also have a built-in refrigerator that I keep stocked with meats, vegetables. I have canned goods, pastas, so on and so forth. One thing that makes, that I actually prefer to use more than anything else is just a simple Coleman 1-burner butane stove with the butane cans that fit in like a can of hairspray. And I've got a 5-quart saucepan, and with that I will make things like crab chowder, lobster bisque, enchiladas, including homemade enchilada sauce. I'd like to take like Italian sausage, brown it up, and then put in a box of stuffing mix. And there you've got your meat and stuffing together. That's just really fast and simple. I do a lot with angel hair pasta and Parmesan cheese. I always have butter and cream in my refrigerator. I really eat very well. I eat the same sort of foods on board as I do at home, that I fix at home.
So great. I love it so much. Well, Sheryl, you know my show is Enjoying Life OTR, so I always like to hear about some fun things that you've been able to do as a result of traveling in the truck.
Well, a couple of years ago, I was in Washington, D.C., and I was actually at the Travel Centers of America, where you're not supposed to drop your trailer unless it be impounded. And I kind of pulled the old lady age card, and I told them that I had to run into town to get a prescription filled. How can they say no to that? I don't, you know. So I needed to drop my trailer. I was only going to be gone for a couple hours. I'm just going to, go in here, get the prescription, and I'll be back. I don't take any medications, but it sounded good. And anyway, I did. I dropped the trailer, and I thought, dadgummit, as my dad would say, I'm not going to be this close to Washington, D.C. and not take a look at I want to see the White House, and I want to see the Washington Monument.
Yes.
Is that great big spire, the white spire?
Yes.
So I dropped the trailer and I made my way into Washington, D.C., and I found out that it isn't really quite the truck-friendly town, even bobtail. I made it through. I saw the White House and the Washington Monument, and felt fulfilled and went back and got back underneath my trailer like a good little trucker. And anyway, there was that. I've also had occasions to spend time in New Orleans. Louisiana and Missouri, they're pretty much my favorite states. Montana is pretty enchanting as well. I'm from the state of Washington, born and raised. But I love the history just steeped in the South. I thoroughly enjoy making deliveries in that area in spite of the bumpy roads. It's quite entertaining driving around the New Orleans area, your GPS will tell you, didn't take a left here, and it's gotten to the point where I realized the GPS does not when I say GPS, I'm speaking specifically of a trucker's style of GPS, such as Garmin or Rand McNally. And those are set up to govern us so that we don't drive in areas where they have low bridges or we exceed the weight limit, etc. What it doesn't pick up is the low-hanging branches. It got to the point where, my GPS was telling me to turn left, and I'd look down the road, and it's like, oh, nope. There's no way that I can clear underneath those branches. So you come to learn that you have to go all the way. I mean, it might be 2 miles to get to where you need to go, but in order to travel on a route that'll actually get you there safely without damaging your trailer or your exhaust stack or what have you, it might be 4 miles. You got to go down to a major intersection and turn. That's the only place where you're not going to be where some of the streets aren't shrouded with the branches as they are. So New Orleans, Dallas, Texas, always under construction. Gosh, that's always fun. I say that kiddingly.
Yeah, from Dallas, so I know.
I shouldn't speak disparagingly of any city. There's construction everywhere. And a lot of times it's gotten to the point where if I can't find a connecting load immediately, I will actually turn it into a vacation. Rather than be constantly looking through a load board, I'll just hang it up and decide, I think I'm just going to drive on down to wherever and visit with so and such. And I do. That is part of the beauty of I have my own authority. I am not a company driver. I am an independent owner-operator. So I don't have anybody telling me what to do other than my own good judgment.
Same for me, and it's so great.
It works much better for me that way. Nobody has to contend with the likes of me and vice versa.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I also like to talk about well-being on the road. Has it been a challenge to stay healthy with doing the driving and this lifestyle? What's that been like?
Thankfully, my weight has remained constant. The only negative aspect that I have encountered is a lack of time with respect to dental care. It was something that I just talked with my daughter the week before. My plan for next year was to embark in some rigorous dental care. So I'm very much looking forward to that. But really, health-wise, well-being, I walk more now than I did when I worked in an office, in my insurance agency. The quality of life for me has actually, I can honestly say, improved. But truck driving means more to me than anything that I have ever known before in my life, aside from having children. Given me such great joy. What people don't know about me is when they look at me, they see a Betty Crocker face. This Betty Crocker face, unfortunately, went through some very, very trying times where I ended up being addicted to drugs. And now when I think back, it's been 20 years. I've been 20 years clean. I don't say I'm in recovery because I feel as though I've recovered. Coming through that, the thoughts of drugs or the recollections, you see different things along the way every day that might spark a recollection of when you were using. My drug of choice was cocaine, and although it's not physically addicting, it's very psychologically and mentally addicting. And so those are, well, of course, it was physical and mental. Those are both two powerful things that we have to contend with. But when I think about the times in my life when I was using, I realized that I was very unhappy. I wasn't making the proper decisions. I was divorced and just very unhappy. And using the drugs made me feel apathetic. I think when I look back on things, I think that my life would have been better off earlier if I had followed through or had a way to follow through with that dream of being a truck driver. When I said to my dad in 1993, I think I'd like to be a long-haul truck driver, because I would have gotten as involved in the truck driving then as I am now. And the love of truck driving would have just absolutely squashed any of the drug usage. But as it was, that carried on for another 93 to, drug use carried on for another 12 years.
Wow.
So, that's water under the bridge now, but when I think of it, there isn't anything that compares to what I'm doing right now. The joy that I get from, I wouldn't change. If somebody could walk in, if somebody said, hey, do you want to go and, get high? I've got some awesome, cocaine. I'd have to say, no. There isn't anything that I would do that could compare to what I'm doing right now. So for those that have struggled with addictions, I know the importance, as I have discovered, in finding something that you truly love and going with that. That brings the happiness. At least this is my experience. This has brought the happiness to where drinking excessively or using drugs would be the furthest thing from my mind. Whereas before, I was more interested in forgetting anything that was on my mind.
Yeah.
I just wanted to bury everything.
Yeah. Well, it says a lot about the power of the dreams that are inside of us, doesn't it?
Yes. Yes, most definitely. I thought that I would enjoy it, in 93. And when I finally, in 2015, when I finally climbed into the seat and got out on the road, I was like, yep, I was right.
So great.
This is awesome. This is way more awesome than I even thought it was going to be.
So great. Well, Sheryl, thank you for sharing that part of your story. I know it will be helpful for many people to hear that. We all have things that we've had to overcome in our past, and I think it takes a lot of courage to share. And anytime somebody hears somebody else speak about a failure in their past, or something that was a challenge that they overcame, I think it gives people courage and strength to face the challenges that they're going through now. Right. So. It's very good, very good.
One of the most important things that I ever learned, even before I started into this profession, was leading. I guess I was on the road to recovery before I started. Actually, I was on the road to recovery before I even started driving. But that was the value, the importance of being completely honest in your life. And if your honesty presents or creates a problem for other people, then you have to let it go that is their problem, not your problem. It's up to you, it's up to us to lead an honest life. And there is so much freedom in doing that. And I'm not saying step on people's toes, hurt them, be obnoxious with your honesty or anything like that. My dad always used to say, Sheryl, if you have to tell somebody to go to hell, phrase it in such a way that they look forward to the trip. I've always tried to keep that in mind. Is if I have to say something to somebody that it may not really be in keeping with what I think they want to hear, I'm still going to lead that honest life, because I'm not going to sacrifice my freedom. I'm not going to compromise my freedom. And in that honesty, you also start evaluating, apologizing. It occurs to you certain things that you may have done that you've done to other people without you even thinking or giving much credence to the fact that you were harming them in any way. And all of a sudden you reach this sort of enlightenment, and it's a wonderful thing. And I encourage everyone to be honest and to lead an honest life. And if they need support with anything that troubles them, above and beyond what our family, friends, and loved ones can provide us, then by all means, seek the counseling or treatment that works to get you onto a better road to life. I happen to have found my niche, really kind of stabilized my recovery, was with pet therapy. My dogs have a very, very calming effect on me, to the extent that I feel most comfortable with them or other dog people, rather than relying completely on people. That's, I'd throw that out for people to consider too. Having a pet in your life, something where you have something other than your own life that you focus on, which may not be delicious or wonderful at that point in time. You have something that entertains you, that distracts you, that engages you, so that you're focused on something positive. And that's really where the steps to recovery happen, when we start making positive decisions, collectively managing positive thoughts, looking on the positive side of things rather than, is a glass half full or is it half empty?
Yeah, that's so good. I like that too, what you share. Just really keep pursuing your own happiness and your wholeness. Like, don't settle for a less than life, We can, life is short, and, keep pursuing those dreams. Yeah.
Exactly. So, the way I look at it is that my enduring that 3-month phase with the automatic, that was nothing to compromise it. But you got to start somewhere. So the thing is, I was still in a truck, so that was a good thing. But anyway, yeah, honesty and just being positive and just putting the things in your life that keep you on the right track and happy, and things just fall into place.
Well, also, I'm curious about, do you ever get lonely when you're out on the road? You're obviously a very social person, and how has that adjustment been for you? Has it been okay?
I spent 40 years talking. As an insurance agent, I was required to make insurance sales. So I was constantly listening to people, understanding what they needed. Talk. Yeah, I have no problem talking, but I have to say, it has been almost a huge relief that I don't have to talk anymore in order to make a living. I enjoy driving along. I'll turn the CB on and chat with other truckers along the way. That's gotten to be a kick in the pants once I got over the initial fear of oh gosh, I'm too young. I can't, I'm too young. I'm not an experienced trucker. They're going to know I'm not experienced. And, when I got over that phobia, converse with the other truckers and, and laugh it up. It's been quite an enjoyment, the solitude. And I'm never lonely because I have my pup crew to entertain me. They are all very devoted. Well, I feed them great food. They have to be devoted to me.
They're living the life out there.
Yeah. A lot of my friends have said that they'd like to come back as, when they pass on, they'd like to come back and be one of the dogs that I take care of.
That is too funny.
Anyway, no, I've got them for entertainment. I talk to family and friends on a regular basis. I have other truck driver friends that I talk to every day. So I have enough social interaction that keeps me. I never feel lonely. I have never once and forever in my life. The only time I ever felt lonely was when I first started, when I was a company driver with the first company that I worked with, and I didn't have the opportunity of having my dogs with me because I was in training.
Yeah.
And so that was a tough month. But I was so enthralled and so excited about being on the truck, or finally, finally doing this. That good for me to be able to be alone and not have the responsibility of the dogs, so that my attention was not, there was no distractions.
Yeah.
So, but once I got reunited with the dogs, it's been, every day is a happy day.
I love that. Well, Cher, how often do you get back home? Do you make regular trips home, or you pretty much stay out all the time? What kind of rhythm are you in?
The rates in Washington for a dry van are actually very low coming out of the state. So I really kind of end up shooting myself in the foot by going home with any frequency, because my stay at home ends up being prolonged because Mama don't drive cheap freight. And unfortunately, a lot of times the rates coming out of Washington are, the brokers are real happy offering $1.50 a mile, and that just doesn't fly. So I'll end up having to take something that goes to Montana. And I'm also sort of restricted too because of the size of my truck. I have to top off at like 38,000 pounds. For my load. So it makes it a little bit more difficult. I could go home frequently if I wanted to. It's just that I really choose not to for financial reasons.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah. Well, you have everything you need on your truck. You're living large out there.
I do. You know, I do. I have a lovely home that's on the Skagit River, and it really is a beautiful view of the river. I can see upriver and downriver, and it's very quiet and secluded. But get me home, and really, what do I want to do? I want to get back out on the road.
Yeah.
So I just gotta go.
That's awesome. I love it. You're enjoying the life so much. It's so great.
This keeps me highly entertained every day. There was one day in my whole entire career so far, and I'm into my 8th year. But there's one day in all of that I felt like quitting, and that's when I was doing power only. They told me to put the bills of lading in the back of the trailer, and when I opened up the trailer doors, an empty barrel fell on me.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So anyway, yes, and it actually it damaged a very lovely watch that I bought for myself as a retirement present because I figured I better buy the watch now. I'm never going to retire. True story. Yeah, my goal is to outlive my grandmother, who lived to be 102 years old, and to be one of the oldest recording trucker women on the road.
I love that.
Safely on the road.
So great.
Yeah. So anyway, one day in all of my life on the road did I ever feel like throwing in the towel. But the next day I felt fine. I was ready to go, and that was yesterday, and after all, today is a new day.
Well, Sheryl, I've loved your story. I'm such an honor to meet you. Thank you so much. I've enjoyed this conversation so much.
All right. Well, thanks. So anyway, I can't think of anything else I could add. I think that's just about everything from stem to stern.
Well, that wraps up our show today. Thanks so much for coming along on this journey. Be sure to get our app, Enjoying Life OTR. And if you could, do me a favor and leave a review where you listen to your podcast. That will give our show more exposure, and more drivers will be able to join us in our community. We want to hear all about the many ways that you are enjoying life OTR. Thanks so much for all you do. I sure appreciate you. Y'all be safe out there, and by all means, enjoy the journey.